What is up, you guys? It's Amber. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, hello and welcome to a wonderful video to start our relationship out right. Today, in case you can't tell by the title of this, we are going to be doing things a little differently. So usually I have, like a fun craft or a fun outfit to show you or some fun something to do, but not today. Today, I thought it would be fun to throw all my morals aside and tell you guys all the juicy details behind my love life. No, I'm kidding, but since you guys are always asking about my love life, I just thought it'd be funny to do a little bit of tattletaling and tell you guys about all of the worst dates I've ever been on, because let me tell you, I have a lot. And what good is going on dates if you're not gonna spill the beans to the whole internet, right? No, I'm kidding, but not really, I guess, because I am filming this video. So here we go. Without further ado, 100% true, unretouched stories of the worst dates I've ever been on. And I'll warn you, they're like really bad. Alright, are you ready, guys? Here we go. So we are going to start this video off with the date that really inspired this whole video, because it was hands down the worst one that I've ever been on. So the story behind this one is I'd actually gone out with this guy forever ago. He lives out of town and we just like never really talked after we went out the first time. But he had texted me and said, hey, I'm in your city. Do you want to go out? Let me take you out tonight. And I was like, ooh, okay. We had so much fun the first time. He was so great, had a great personality, was super fun. So I figured, why not? I'll say yes. And then right after I agreed to come, he stops responding for like 10 hours. So now it's like 9:15, I'm tired, I want to go to bed, I'm pissed, but I didn't want to be the one to text him first. So I was like, I'm not going to text him, like, rah, 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 rah. But then I just decided, whatever, who cares, what do I have to lose? So I texted him and was like, hey, like, are we doing anything, question mark, question mark, question mark? It's really late, like, I want to go to bed, I don't usually go out this late. And he calls me immediately and says, oh my gosh, of course, yeah, like, get ready, we're going. And I was like, what the heck, why didn't you respond to me all day long? Anyways, whatever, I forgive him because his voice on the phone is so charming, and so I think, sure, you won me over. Mistake. So he asks me if I want to meet him at Catch at 10, which is like this super trendy, really great, fancy, expensive restaurant here in LA. And so I was like, ooh, I'm excited, yeah. So I get an Uber, head over there, and I decide to show up fashionably late. I show up like 15 minutes late. And so I pull up and I text him. I was like, hey, I'm here. And he texts me back and says, okay, great. I'm finishing up. I'll be down in a minute. So I'm like, excuse me? I thought we were gonna go get drinks at Catch together, but no, he was already eating there. I don't know with who. Maybe he was on another date, who knows? But he doesn't even have the courtesy to like invite me up. He just says, I'll be down in a sec. Wait there. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll wait here for like a minute. Mind you, it's just like on the street, just literally on a street. I'm just standing in the street, dressed fabulously, but that's aside the point. So I'm waiting there and I think it's gonna be like, 5 minutes or whatever. But no. I waited for like 20 minutes for him to finally come downstairs and meet me, and I was like, at this point, very unamused. Very unamused. And right as I'm about to call an Uber home, he walks out of the restaurant and is like, hey babe, and ooh, he was just so cute and dressed so well, and all of my anger left me immediately. So we hop in a giant Uber Black. He's also in the entertainment business, so that was super fun. And he goes, okay, so we're gonna go pick up my 2 friends. And I'm thinking, oh, you know what? He probably has cool friends because, he's cool. It'll be fun to go out with someone else. Doubling. This Uber Black takes us into a literal back alley. Like, I don't know where we were. It was dark and so creepy, and I was thinking, what in the world? And into the car hops a belligerently drunk man and a girl who looks like she can't see 2 feet in front of her. And I'm thinking, okay, who are these people? And he says, this is my best friend. And I'm thinking, oh, good Lord. So we roll up to this little place called Bootsy Bellows, which used to be really popular way back in the day, but now is like, we hop out of the Uber and there is a massive line of people. Like, it looks like there's a 2-hour line to get into this club, even on a Tuesday night. Club going up on a Tuesday in LA is actually a real thing. I'm like, it's gonna be fine. At least we have a table. We can just walk right in. No. The drunk guy and the random girl looked at me and were like, so, How do we get in? And if you've never been to a club in LA, you probably don't understand this, but like, you can't go to clubs without a table here because you'll wait in line for like 3 hours outside, and then once you get in, you're just gonna be like smushed on the floor with 30,000 other people, and it's truly just a miserable experience. So what are you guys doing? Well, they just expect me to get us in somehow because I live in LA and know everyone. Secret time, I actually used to be a big club rat back in my younger days, so I actually did know the bouncer and I actually could get us just to walk right in. So we walked into some other random person's table, up in front, hanging out, whatever. So I'm just kind of sitting there like, because I really don't like clubs anymore. So I'm talking to my guy and his weird friend and the random girl, and then all of a sudden the girl goes, I need to go to the bathroom, and just stands up in the middle of our conversation and like walks away. So I was like, all right, you know, bye, see you later. But then she literally never comes back. Like, I don't know where she went. And I asked his friend, like, who was that? And he says, I have no idea. It's just some girl I met earlier. We were hooking up at my house and then she just left me here. So now I figure this is just gonna be a really weird night. I might as well just enjoy it. So we're dancing, having fun, and then, like I said, my date is also in the entertainment industry and easily recognizable. So 10 minutes until a large group of girls recognized who I was there with. Like 5 of them come over and are like, oh, we love you, blah, blah, blah. But not being discreet about it at all. They're just like all over him, and he didn't seem to care. He was just living his best life. Like, he didn't try to ward them off. He didn't try to like be like, oh, I'm here with someone. Like, nothing. He was just sitting there like living and having a grand old time. So, despite the fact that being ignored isn't really my vibe, I just kind of was like, I don't think I should leave quite yet. I bet this is gonna get funnier. And boy, am I so glad I stayed. So finally, after 2 hours of just standing there being completely ignored, watching all the other girls hit on my date, who didn't seem to care in the slightest, they turn on all the lights and they say, all right, you guys gotta go home. And immediately when the lights turns on, he gets up and goes, all right, babe, come on, grabs my hand and parades me out of the club. And I was like, what? Mind you, all those other girls were like, what? Too. And to tell you the truth, I was more surprised than them, to be honest. So as I'm being paraded out of the club, I realize how drunk he is. He is like white girl wasted, can barely stand, is slurring all of his words, and isn't really making any sense at all. And at this point, I'm so over it. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna call an Uber and go home. And he's like, oh, no, 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 no. Like, come to the after party. We're going to an after party. And I was like, I really don't want to go to an after party. And all while we're having this conversation, I realize the giant group of girls who was with us at the table inside have followed us outside. So while he's trying to convince me to stay, they're like all over him, and I was like, oh my god, this is just like not my vibe. I really want to go home. And I don't know how it is in other cities, but in LA there's like women outside of the clubs holding bouquets of like hundreds of roses, and they're always like shoving them in your face when you leave, like trying to get you to buy some of them for your girlfriend or whoever, whatever. So one of those ladies comes up to him and is like shoving all the roses in his face, and he goes, how much for all of them? And I'm thinking, oh, he is so nice. He is going to buy me all of the roses. He whips out his credit card and spends $250 to buy all of the roses from all of the ladies selling all of them. And I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna forgive him. And what does this boy do? He gives them to the other girls. All of the roses to the other girls who were all over him inside. Not me. Not even one. There was like 100 roses. So I was like, wow. Definitely gonna go home now. So I say, thanks for an interesting evening. I think I'm just gonna catch an Uber and go home. But he still looks bummed out. And then his crazy drunk friend comes out from nowhere land and just goes, oh man, don't worry about it. I got 5 girls at the crib. He literally said the crib, like who still says that? So I'm horrified and I'm just like, you know what? As if I didn't have enough cues to go home, this is officially the final straw. Good night. And I turn to walk away and he turns to his friend and is like, oh man, that makes me look so bad, man. Why you gotta say that? Then he turns right to me, can't even see straight. He does that creepy thing that guys do. He's like, well, you wanna go to lunch tomorrow? No, sir. I don't want to go to lunch tomorrow. So I really do leave this time. I walk up the corner to go wait for my Uber, and my Uber cancels on me like 5 times because at this point it's like 3:30 in the morning. And while I was sitting there on the side of the road, they don't even say goodbye. They just get in a giant Uber, him, his friend, and all the girls that were in the club who had roses from him, and drove away. And that, my friends, is the story of the worst date I ever went on. By the way, even after all that, I was still giving him the benefit of the doubt because like I said, we'd gone out before and he was so great. So I kind of figured he would text me the next day and apologize or something. Nope. I was even the bigger person and said, hey, hope you got home okay the next day. And guess what? No response. And I haven't talked to him since. So like I said, that was only a couple days ago. Now I figured I would tell you some of the stories from way back when. These are just gonna be little date snippets because I don't wanna bore you with the whole entire stories, but here are some of my dating moment highlights. So we'll call this one the Australian guy. So I meet this guy on Bumble and I figure, oh, you know, he's gonna be pretty cute based on his pictures. And I show up to the date and he is a frickin' 10. He ends up telling me he's like a Calvin Klein model and like all this stuff, and he has an Australian accent, like 6'4", and I was like living my best life. I was like, I'm gonna marry this man. So we're in his matte black Range Rover driving to the beach, but while we're going through the hills, he stops and goes, hey, can you grab something on my glove compartment for me? And I'm like, oh, you know, yeah, sure. So I open it and he goes, can you hand me my weed pen? Oh, that's such a big turnoff, but okay. So we pull over and he proceeds to hotbox the entire car full of weed, like just full of it. And I was sitting there like, until he finally looks over and goes, oh, you don't mind, do you? Or how about this one? I was out at a bar with this guy who said he wanted to take me to dinner and then proceeded to not want to buy any food, just wanted to buy shots. And since I don't really drink, that didn't really order anything. And while we were there, he whipped out his wallet and he pulled out a literal like Polaroid printed photo booth photo of me and my friend at a Halloween party from like 3 years ago. And he said, yeah, I recognized you from this photo I had. And I was like, who are you and why do you have this? And he was like, yeah, I found it in my drawer. I knew I recognized you from somewhere when I scrolled past your profile. And I got out of there real quick. But this one has to be one of my favorite things that ever happened to me on a date because even when I think about it now, I still die laughing. So I went out with this guy at a place called Earth Cafe, which is like a trendy little sit-downy kind of like cafe here in Beverly Hills. This man orders no food, but he orders a tea kettle and drinks the whole thing. Despite it being 9 o'clock at night, this is like a huge, huge tea kettle and he drinks the whole thing. And I was like, that was kind of weird. But it got even weirder when he ordered another and drank the whole thing. And then he ordered another and drank the whole thing. This man ordered 3 giant tea kettles and drank all of them over the course of like 2 hours. That wasn't even the funny part, though that was pretty funny. So we're in the car and he's driving me home and he goes, you know what? Do you want to go see, like, there's a really pretty place to see the moon up here. Do you want to go? And I was like, you know what? Sure. Like, why not? So we drive all the way up into the hills of Hollywood in like these mega mansion neighborhoods. And we're sitting there looking at the stars. And he turns to me and says, I actually have to go to the bathroom. Do you mind? And I was like, what? And he just gets up out of the car and starts to pee in this person's lawn, like this mega mansion lawn. And I was like, oh my God, get back in the car. You can't do this. And he was like, it's fine. And I was like, it's not fine. There's cameras. We're gonna be like arrested. I don't even know. He gets back in the car and is like, it's not a big deal. Chill out. And then has the nerve to try to like make out with me. And I was like, oh my God, dude, you were just like peeing in some stranger's lawn. Like, no. So that was really awkward. The whole ride home after that was just, no. And last but not least, we'll end it with something that wasn't bad, but it was just too funny. I have to include it because I don't know where else I'm gonna include this story. The first Tinder date that I ever went on ever, it was with this super hot, super well-known French model guy, and that I'd followed on Instagram for years before I matched with him on Tinder. So I was like so excited. I went to go meet him at a park in Beverly Hills, which I thought was gonna be super fun until I realized the language barrier was so intense. Like, I couldn't understand him and he had no idea what I was saying either at all. So we ended up just kind of like kissing on a bench. I don't know, like I said, I was a little wilder back then. Literally in the middle of it, he got up and he does a handstand and walks on his hands for like 40 feet. Like, it wasn't like do-do-do-do-do. It was like he was standing on his hands, fully walking in circles around the bench. I really couldn't contain my laughter. It was just so bizarre. But he must have thought I was enjoying it because he literally stood up and was like, ta-da! And then you know that thing that like really strong people can do where they like hold on to a pole and like can kind of be vertically, it doesn't even make any sense, but here's a picture of it. He did that on a tree. So I'm just standing there in the middle of this park with a man dangling off a tree and some like mom and her baby walk by and I was just like, pie. And it was literally so weird, and oh my god, I will never forget that. That was the most bizarre experience of my life. But yeah, I guess it's nice to end on a little bit more of a lighthearted note, isn't it? Anyways, moral of the story, I guess, is you gotta learn to laugh at yourself, because if I didn't have a sense of humor, I probably wouldn't be making this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys at least got a good laugh out of it, because like I said, what good are my bad dates if I don't get to share them with the whole internet, right? I love you guys so very much. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I'm sure I'll go on a lot more horrible dates soon. But my mom's probably gonna yell at me about making this video. And she's like, no one's ever gonna ask you out again, knowing you're gonna tell their story on the internet. Well, maybe they'll treat me better this time. And if you're still out there single like me, don't forget one of my favorite quotes I've ever heard. What's a queen without her king? A frickin' queen. I love you guys. Kisses till next time, my angels. XO.